Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. This is take 4. I've been trying to get on Facebook Live for the last, I think, 20 minutes. And for some reason, Zoom, the app or whatever you call it, software that I wanted to use to do the Facebook Live was not working. And so, sorry, just making sure that everything is okay from this end. Right. So I am back, and thank you for joining me on this late Friday evening. I'm sure you're doing something very wonderful. But I wanted to talk about the financial requirement for settlement visas because there's been a lot of confusion on this issue, and even me, I also get confused on the financial requirements. When you read the guidance, it's very complicated. If you just want to sponsor one person and you are employed and you've been employed for the last 12 months, then that's very, very straightforward. You just provide your pay slips, bank statements, that's fine. But there have been questions from some of you about what happens if, for example, you don't actually meet the financial requirement. What can you do? What other requirements can you supply with it? So so this is just going to be a general information about the financial requirements and the ways of meeting those the requirement, so that you can successfully get the settlement visa. Because if you don't comply with the financial requirement, it's the application will be hopeless and it will be refused. Okay, so I was going to share my screen earlier. That's why I wanted to use the Zoom, but it wouldn't let me. And so if I look down, that means I'm reading my notes. And okay, so I have here just general notes about the ways of meeting the financial requirement. So I've got here 6, okay, from the guidance from the Home Office, and I think you can also access them if you want to read it. Feel free to read it. It's all there. All the information is there, but I'm just giving you the kind of the general or summary of the requirements. So 1, you can meet the financial requirement from your income from salaried employment, and the other one is from non-salaried employment. Now, some of you will be wondering, well, what is salaried and what's non-salaried employment? I will discuss that later on, okay? So the other one is non-employment income. So this will be income from, if you're not working or your partner is not working, you can meet the financial requirement by providing, proof of your non-employment income. So this can be if you own properties and you receive income from the rent, or if you have investments and you receive dividends or interest from savings, that is non-employment income. The other way is cash savings of the applicant or the partner. The 5th one is pension income. So for those who are, for those already retired and receiving pensions, you can use that as well to meet the financial requirement. Then the last one is income from self-employment and or income as director or employee of specific limited company. So this is, this is like kind of complicated, okay? Because you have to provide specific proof to meet that, but it's not impossible. But I think if you're going to use number 6 as the way of meeting the financial requirement, you have to make sure you understand what is required, because otherwise, if you're just sending some documents to show that you're actually meeting the 18,600 requirement, but you haven't read the guidance, it will be refused. So just be aware. Right. When you apply for visa, for settlement visa, you complete this form, appendix 2, okay, on top of the application form that you complete online. And when you complete it, there are different ways of showing, there are different categories that the Home Office wants you to confirm of meeting the financial requirements. And I think there's category A, category B, category C, D, E. So 5 categories. The category A is income from salaried and non-salaried employment. And this is why I talked about what's the difference between salaried and non-salaried employment. So salaried is where you have an employment and you are being offered a contract, let's say and you're earning, it's a pro rata, it's a specific amount that you receive every month. And sometimes you're given an employment and you're offered a yearly salary, but you get the amount, obviously the monthly income, and it's fixed. So for example, you're earning £30,000 a year, so you divide it by 12, so that's the income, that's the amount of money you receive every month, and it will show on your payslip, okay? So that is what salaried means. And non-salaried employment will be those who are employed, but on various hours. They get paid by hourly rate, okay, and specific days as well. So it's not fixed. So you can do, so you may be employed 20 hours or 30 hours per week, but your income, your salary will be hourly rate, let's say 11 hours £11 per hour, and then that is what salaried employment means, okay? It's still employment, but it's not a specific amount, a yearly specific amount. So if you are relying on category A, because category A is where your partner or you are salaried and have a non-salaried employment, that's category A. And this is a category where you have been working for the same employer for the last for at least a period of 6 months or 12 months. You know, for good morning, Steve. That's my nephew. Okay, so if your partner has been working for the same employer, let's say for over 6 months, then that's quite straightforward, because you can easily meet the financial requirement by providing the pay slips and the bank statements that corresponds that shows the amount of money that you receive from your employment every month. That's straightforward, and I think majority of people will be able to comply with that. That's category A. The category B is slightly where the complicated, that is where this complication, and some may have problem understanding, you know, am I meeting the financial requirement? And this is because, hello Carol, hello everyone, hello Wilma. This is where the complication begins, because you may find that you haven't been working at the date of the application. You have not been working for the same employer for 6 months. Okay, so maybe you've only been working for, I don't know, 2 months, but previously you have worked for the same employer for the last 12 months, and so you're not quite sure whether or not you've complied with the you know, the financial requirement. But under category B, you will still be able to comply with the requirement if the last 12 months, okay, the last 12 months, you have earned at least the amount that you need, okay? And I'm saying the amount that you need because at least you have to be earning £18,600 per year before tax. But that's only for one person. If you're sponsoring one person, that's at least that you have to earn and show to the Home Office that you're earning that. But if you're sponsoring a child, okay, plus a partner, then it's a different amount. You have to show that you're earning £22,400 before tax. Okay, this is before tax. So I think a lot of the times you can comply with that. And if you're sponsoring 2 children plus your spouse, then it increases to $24,800 that you have to show to be able to sponsor those the 2 children and the spouse. So under category B, if you haven't been employed for at least 6 months by the same employer, you have to show that for the last 12 months, okay, prior to the date of application, you were earning that specific amount. All right. Okay, Errol, I have a question. How about if you have been 3 months but no payslip? Well, that will be a bit complicated, okay, because it depends why you don't have payslip. You should really demand from your employer to get the payslips, okay, because that's your entitlement as an employee, okay. It may be a bit complicated because to show that you are complying with the financial requirement, you have to be able to provide basic documents, and the basic documents are payslips and the bank statements. So if your payslips say you're earning, let's say, 1,600 per month before tax, and your salary, I don't know how much tax has been deducted from that. Let's say net you receive 1,200, then it should reflect whatever is on the payslips as your net amount that you're earning for the month. It should reflect on the bank statement. So if it's 1,300 on the payslip, it should also show on the bank, the bank statements. Okay, 20, yeah, that's 22,400. Yes, two person. Yeah, so one child and the partner. Okay, from outside the UK, then you need to earn 22,400. That's correct. Yes, yes. Okay, so that's category B. But I'm saying if you don't earn enough, okay, so if you can show that, oh my goodness, I don't have the 18,600. I can only show that I'm earning, let's say 18,000. Okay, so that still doesn't meet the requirement, and so you don't meet the financial requirement, and therefore it will be refused. But there are other categories that you can use if that's possible. Okay, if it's possible. And so here we are, category C. Category C is, sorry, I'm sweating. It's very, very hot. Category C is a non-employment income. So if you are, yes, I will go through the self-employment. Edgardo, yes, I will go through the self-employment in a bit, okay? Non-employment income, category C. So if you have, for example, investments in shares, and you receive dividends from that, you can include that as your income, okay? You can add that as your income. Then if you also have properties, and you receive income, rental income from that, so you have another house that you're renting out and you receive, let's say, rent from the tenants, £1,500, then you can use that as also the as proof of your income and way of meeting the financial requirement. The other one is interest from savings. So if you have a lot of money and you put it away and every month you receive interest, I mean, I don't know which banks you would be using, but at the moment they're not really giving, it's not really a lot of interest at the moment. You'd be lucky to get 3%. But anyway, interest from savings would also be counted. So if you receive, let's say, £100 per month, £100 per month from savings, you can also add that towards the the financial requirement. You can show that that is also part of your income. Maintenance from former spouse. So if you are receiving money from your former husband, former wife, as maintenance, you can use that as well as income. And even maternity allowance. If you're on maternity leave and you receive maternity allowance, you can also use that as income. So but if you're relying under category C, okay, you have to make sure that you have owned the assets, like, for example, property and investment. You have to have that for the last 12 months from before the date of the application. Okay, so if you have bought a property, for example, but you haven't held it for 12 months and you've only held it for 6 months, then it won't be counted. Okay, it has to be 12 months you've held it. How much savings? 17. Well, this is the next, Errol, this is the next category. Category D is cash savings, okay? If you can't meet the financial requirement, but you have cash savings of at least £16,000, you can combine this amount with the category A and category B. So if you remember, category A is the employment, salaried and non-salaried, and working for the same employer for the last 6 months. And category B is the same, salaried and non-salaried, but not working for the same employer for at least 6 months. Okay, so if you can't meet the financial requirement under those categories, then you can use cash savings to you can combine it with the cash savings to meet the financial requirement. Okay, so that's the cash savings, £16,000 at the moment. The other ways of meeting the financial requirement is pensions. Okay, so if your partner is already receiving pension, then that can also be used as meeting the financial requirement. So pensions, sorry, just 1 second. Cancel. So pensions can be state pension. So state means they receive pension from the government. Okay, so it's not quite a lot at the moment, but it may it can be added up. Or if they can also be receiving from the work pension, it's called occupational, and the other one is private, meaning they've already taken pension from a pension company, and they invested in their pension, and they're receiving it. They're receiving it already. So pension income can also be used for meeting the financial requirements. Now the last category is category F. Okay, and this is self-employment income. So if you're not employed, I think a lot of people are these days are self-employed. So self-employed under this category, so income from self-employment counts as well. And if your husband or your partner is also a director of a limited company, and they have the yes, Errol, it's 6 months. You have to have that income. You have to have that savings for at least 6 months before the application. Yes. Self-employment, director of limited company, or an employee of limited company. So you will find that your partner may be owning a limited company, so they own it, but so they're a director, but they're also an employee at the same time, but they own it. So they can, whatever income they have from that limited company that they own as a director and as an employee, then that can also be used as a as the income for meeting the financial requirement. Now self-employment is rather tricky. Okay, and under this category it's tricky because you need to provide a lot of documents. So for self-employment, for example, you need to have an accountant. You need to make sure that you have submitted your self-assessment tax return to HMRC, to the taxman, and pay the tax, and show that your income is a specific amount. As I said, at least 18,600 before tax. And you need to have a letter from the accountant to confirm the profit and loss, the balance sheet. So it's very kind of official if you're going through this route, self-employment. So if somebody comes to me and say, oh, I am self-employed, and these are my earnings. I want to sponsor my fiance. I want to sponsor my wife, my husband, to come to the UK. I have the bank statements. Would that be sufficient? No, it won't be sufficient. Okay, and you need to prepare. You need to show the two years, at least 2 years worth of self-assessment tax return. Okay, it's not enough for 1 year. It's 2 years, and you need to supply letter from the accountant, as I said, your bank statement, your business bank statement, your personal bank statement, and invoices. Okay, so there's a lot of requirements that you need to fulfill if you're doing self-employment. And it's also for director of limited company. So this is if you have a company, you have to make sure you provide the company's house documents, company bank statements. What else? Your personal bank statements, again, because it shows, you know, what the company owns, and what you're earning as well, to show that you are earning this specific amount of money. And if you're an employee of a limited company, again, you know, the pay slips you will need, and so on. So all this. So under this category, there's a lot of requirements, and it's not enough for this live. Okay, so I won't go to too much details under that category, but I wanted to make sure as well that you know that some incomes can't be counted, can't be included in your application. So for example, if your spouse or your partner is receiving some benefits from government, so benefits such as housing benefit, council tax benefit, child tax credit, child benefit, working tax credit, I think there's universal tax credit, loans, you know, if you say, oh, I've got this loan and I've got this loan facility, or I've got these credit facilities, credit cards, it won't be included. Okay, you can't say, oh, I've got this money, because it won't be counted. That will be completely disregarded. So what will be the requirements when you want to show that you have those, that you have the specific income that is required? Is your pay slips, whatever's in pay slips, and your bank statements. Okay, a letter from your employer to confirm your role, and basically those are the three. But if you want to prove other from the other categories, then that will be, you know, it will be specific. It will be quite specific. So for example, if you want to prove that you have savings, you need to make sure that that savings is actually under the financial, you know, and under the banks and building societies in the UK, or is with an organization that is actually, I don't know where I'm getting this. One second. Okay, so just those. Sorry, I can't be distracted, and I'm sweating. Okay, so if, for example, you want to rely on cash savings, you need to make sure that the information, the bank statements, the savings statement comes from an institution that is recognized by the Home Office. That's what I wanted to say. Sorry, I got a bit distracted. Okay, so I think this, yeah. So lastly, make sure you supply the right documents, which is what I said. If you're relying on a specific category, make sure you read the guidance and see what documents you need to supply. You can't assume, okay? Don't assume, please. Don't say, oh, you know, yeah, I earn rental income from this property, and it shows in my bank statements, and here they are, okay? And that's it, okay? That's not, you know, you need more than that. You need to provide them proof that you own the property. So by way of land registry document that says it's in your name, you've held it for 12 months at least, and then the tenancy agreement, to say that you are renting the property and that you're receiving that income in accordance with what you've agreed with under the tenancy agreement, and the bank statement. Okay, so make sure you supply the right documents. So questions. I have one question here, which is not related to settlement visa and financial requirements, but I think most of you will be wondering if I am. Yeah, let me just go back to the comments. Okay. I know somebody wanted to ask me about visit visa. Yes, visit visa. So there is no specific requirement as to how much you need to show to sponsor someone to sponsor someone for a visitor's visa. So if you want your son, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your cousin, your relatives, your friend to come to the UK to visit, there is no requirement. It's not 18,600 that you need to supply, but you need to be, if you're saying that you are going to pay for accommodation, you're going to pay for expenses, flight, you need to reflect that on your bank statements that you'll be providing. So if you're saying, I'm going to be sponsoring the applicant, I'm going to be paying for the expenses, the flight, the food, and all the expenses, and they're staying, and you're saying that they're going to stay with me for a month, okay, then you need to make sure that there's enough money in your bank account to show that you can afford it. But also you need to show that you have income coming in. Okay, so if it's not savings, if it's not substantial savings that you show, it's making sure that you also show that you have monthly income, a regular income well above the expenses. So you have to show that you can afford it, basically. So yeah, there is no, I would not, I would not come up with a figure, because there isn't any guidance on the Home Office, on the Home Office documents, policy documents, nothing like that. My son is in the Philippines, and you want and get visa. Yes, you can. Yes, Errol. Can you have visa? Yeah, of course you can. You can apply for a visit visa. There's no requirement. But with visit visa, I don't know if anyone has read the newspaper today. I think the Telegraph, a lawyer, and I'm glad that he spoke out, because even me as a lawyer, I have difficulty. It's been quite difficult to sponsor, to get visit visas from outside the UK, because the Home Office will just refuse it. Even refuse it for really, really silly excuses. And there's nothing you can do about it, because you can't even appeal. And if you take them to court, it will cost you a lot of money to challenge their decision at the upper tribunal. So it is difficult to apply, but it's not impossible. I mean, this article in the newspaper is highlighting the difficulties that lawyers have, or visitor applicants from outside the UK. They're talking about African countries and Indian subcontinent, I think. But that applies, I think, everywhere, because I've been acting with clients in Eastern Europe, Ukraine, and obviously Philippines, and it's quite difficult to get visit visa to come to the UK, even though you have complied all the requirements as a business visa. And it seems that if you don't have the financial resources, they would just refuse you for no reason. Okay, so what do I need to visit for visit visa for my son who is 21 years old? What do you need to sponsor a son? Yeah, it's basically when you sponsor someone from outside the UK, you need to be able to show that they're genuine visitor. Okay, so you can't say, oh, I want, it's a 6-month visa, so I'm going to say that he's going to stay here for 6 months, because that won't be a genuine visit. They won't like that at all. So, and if you also say, they're staying for a month, then they have to have a reason why they're coming to the UK. It can be a special occasion, a reunion, celebration, birthday celebration, fifth, a wedding anniversary, 18th, 25th, 60th birthday celebration. Those kind of reasons, you should include that in the application. If you just say, I want my son, I want people to come and visit me, you can, but it will be kind of difficult. And also, as I said, it's all about financial being able to show that you can afford it. Okay, so if you say that you want your son and you're sponsoring, then you need to be able to show that you have the funds to do it. Okay, let me just, what if my employer will apply for visit visa for my son? Is it possible? The home office will be wondering why is it that the employer is applying for the visit visa for your son. That will be the question. Okay, so you can do that, but I think it will be refused because they will say, well, what's the relationship? Okay, so if you can apply, you have a reason why you can't apply for yourself. Like I don't know what your personal circumstances is, Lily. I think that's what you. I'm not gonna call you Tiger, Lily. Then you know you can explain that on the covering letter, for example. So okay, so celebration book. So if I say you can stay for, yes, I think so. I think so, Errol. Yeah, you have to have some kind of reason, like a wedding, a wedding to attend to, that they have holiday in the Philippines. It has to kind of make sense why they're visiting you, because what they will be saying is that, well, why can't you come? Why can't you go to the Philippines and see each other? Why does this person have to come to the UK to visit you? Does that make sense? I hope it does make sense. Yes. Oh my goodness. Excuse me. Okay. So I think there's a lot of question about visit visa. I know I wanted to do one I think a few months back to show you how to apply for a business visa, but I don't think I discussed about the financial requirement. There isn't really any financial requirement, and it's the most difficult visa to obtain to come to the UK. If you don't have finances, or if you're being sponsored, they make any excuses. I have one client who's been refused about 4 times to visit his mother in the UK, and so we're going to take the Home Office, the Secretary of State, to the tribunal and see if they will concede or change their mind. But at the moment, we don't know. Okay, guys, that's 32 minutes. And so I will wrap it up and I will say goodbye. Thanks for watching and thanks for joining me. Any questions, just, you know what to do. Message me and let me know if you have any other questions, or if you want me to go into details about the financial requirements I haven't covered, because it's really, it's complicated and it's quite long to read. Okay, guys, have a lovely evening and have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.